The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Welcome to On Cue. Today we have a special Insight edition featuring the second annual Ag Summit, recently hosted by Riverland Community College and the Hormel Foundation. We take you to the Hormel Historic Home for this important event.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Adenuga Tewalogun. I'm the president at Riverland Community College. For many years, there was some downtimes in the agriculture industry. The pendulum swung to some side. And what happened at that time is that many agriculture-related industries and academic environments, they forsook agriculture. But you know, some things never change. The need for nutrition, the need for food, the population growth, and the effect of technology. Those things are more like the base, the equilibrium of the pendulum. They would continue to remain the same. In fact, it's been projected that by 2050, the world's need for food will double. Take a look at your placemat and look at the condensed history of Minnesota agriculture. I'm not going to go through this, but you could see, even in Minnesota, how we have improved agriculture over the years. You could see in the 1990s and what is happening now in perhaps look at 2007 and look at 2013. Let's look at 2013. Farm technology. New smartphone app allows farmers to scan seed bag tags and get instant information on how to adjust their planter to maximize its performance. That's what's happening to agriculture. Now, let's talk briefly about the resurgence of agriculture, which is the theme of our summit. What have we seen nationally and locally? Well, let me give you a few statistics about where we are in terms of the prospects for agriculture graduates. Agriculture graduates ranked 5th in the highest paid degrees in 2015. A study by Purdue University and the U.S. Department of Agriculture showed the shortfall in agricultural jobs on a national basis between 2010 and 2015. There will be about 54,400 openings each year. How do we measure up to those 54,000 jobs? About 29,300 graduates are only available. So well over 25,000 jobs each year are not filled. How about locally? Locally, I have talked to folks from Absolute Energy, SEMA, Hormel Foods, Cargill, Select Foods. A lot of these local businesses or worldwide businesses that are based here are also talking about shortage in available workforce. For instance, they're looking for biodiesel technicians. They're looking for small equipment operators. They're looking for those who have knowledge in ag hydraulics and diesel mechanics. They're looking for those who are lab techs. They're looking for boiler operators. So a lot of these specialized workforce that we as Riverland Community College could be a part in helping to raise. We want to fill that gap. Lastly, I want to talk about what happens when that pendulum comes back to the equilibrium state? How do we sustain what we start? And that is where we need your help today. So in one of the breakout sessions, we will have one group that looks at the sustainability of whatever program we put together. We will also talk to you about some things we have done so far. We have 5 new programs that will start, that have been approved. They will start in Riverland Community College here in August. And my Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Mary Davenport, would address that at some time in our schedule. And then finally, I want to tell you that we will be hiring a director for an Ag and Food Science Technology Center, Ag and Food Science Technology Innovation Center, that would have a global reach, but it will have a local start. And in about 3 months, we will have that director of that center to show that Riverland Community College is ready and mean business to recapture the rightful place in agriculture in southeastern Minnesota.
I'm delighted to be here today, and because a lot has changed in this last year, and a little over more than a year. The last time we met as a group, the phrase big data was not much in vogue, at least not when it came to farming. But now it's being talked about in every family farm office, at every agriculture meeting, trade shows, and in thousands of sales pitches every day. As one article quoted a farmer as saying, "I don't want to be the first one in, but I sure do not want to be the last one in." What the producers and many, many others are talking about is the race to make big data work for agriculture. For the producers, for the equipment makers, for the insurers, for the government, and for the manufacturers, and of course, for the consumer, of which there are more and more of every day. As Dr. Anuga said, the statistics that keep popping up is that by the year 2050, we will have to feed 9 billion people. Feeding the world is not just something the producer to solve. If we are going to meet the challenges, then technology running by big data is probably what's going to get us where we need to be for the future. As this audience knows, the age of producers is growing, and the acres of cropland are declining. The only factor that I see working to counter these trends is the adoption of technology on the farm. Today, American producers have the ability to collect an amazing amount of data about their operations. They can collect data from sensors on their equipment to their bins, and from the drones that we're going to see an example of above their properties. They can merge that data in the vast databases about the weather, and the soil composition, and the seed performance. They can tap into market information that instantly is up to date around the world about the products that they're producing, to purchase inputs and to manage their risk. They can run endless simulations that predict the outcome of every scenario on their farm. In other words, the latest technology is a vital tool for the producer who knows every acre, every crop, every pest, and what every drop of rain and every degree of temperature means to his operation. It helps him to get his knowledge out of his head and into a system that has let him measure the effectiveness to make precise determinations about crops to plant, harvest, and how he sells his product. And most importantly, it lets him predict what will happen tomorrow, next week, and next season with a great degree of accuracy. This isn't just theory. A 2012 survey of soybean producers using data aggregation, and management techniques reported a 15% savings on seed fertilizer and chemicals. Another study from India showed that using big data to implement just one improvement, precise leveling, on a farm increased yields by 16% and reduced water usage by 50%. Riverland can play that same role right here in Austin, Minnesota. The Hormel Foundation wants to be part of making this a reality. We have a vision from our foundation that we think this could fit in for the future. We strongly affirm that Riverland's aspirations to become a regional or even a national or even an international center of excellency in the application of technology to agriculture operations can happen right here in Austin, Minnesota. So I thank you again for your participation, and thank you for being here today.
As expected, educating future graduates in agriculture fields was a major focus of the summit. Lene Yarger and Liz Tenaglia are area high school instructors who explained the options currently available to students in our region.
Career exploration around 7 career pathways. So these are the different pathways that the state of Minnesota has kind of divided up for education. So I think there's the next, I'm going to push for the next one. All right, animal systems is the first one. Agribusiness systems, environmental, food products and processing, natural resource systems, plant systems, and then power structure and technical systems. So all 7 of these systems in an ideal agriculture program, hopefully they would have classes for all the students to take, opportunities for the students to be able to take these classes in these different areas. And then the idea here is that the student then can take maybe an introduction class or an introductory class that maybe gives them some exploration into these different areas, the 7 different choices. And then the next level class they would take would be a more advanced class in a certain pathway that they choose. Like, for example, some of our students have chosen a pathway in animal systems. And then what they do is they'll start with an introductory class, maybe as a 9th grader, and then as a sophomore or junior, then they'll take a higher rigor class, maybe something more like an animal science. And then possibly their senior year, then they maybe take another class. It's still in the animal systems pathways, maybe in vet science or something like that. So hopefully they're building a pathway toward a future career.
And some of you have probably maybe have seen this. This is just kind of a layout of all the different career and technical clusters. So some of the different areas that would fit under not just necessarily agriculture, but things in health sciences or arts and communication, like where they fit as more of a career field and what area a student might want to focus on if that's kind of their end goal.
We have students at the high school level that will sometime take post-secondary classes as a high school senior or possibly even a junior. We also have something called articulated college credit, articulated agreements. Articulated agreements are agreement between the high school and a college, for example, Riverland. And so sometimes high school classes will the students in high school classes will qualify for this articulated college credit.
Another way students can earn potential post-secondary credit while still in high school is through concurrent enrollment. They can do this through many different colleges in Minnesota. There's a lot of the state colleges and universities that offer concurrent classes, not just in agriculture, but in many of the different subjects. Some of the concurrent classes in agriculture, I know some different areas or schools in the area, such as Kingsland, does concurrent classes in animal science and plant propagation through the U of M. So if a student completes all the coursework and meets a certain grade, if they go up to the U, they would then have that course completed and have earned the credit for Intro to Animal Science or plant propagation.
And then another opportunity is PSEO. And at Owatonna, we do have several students that throughout the year they will take PSEO classes. Usually they're either a junior or a senior in high school when they're taking PSEO classes. And the big advantage of this is it doesn't cost the student any money. because it's an agreement between the college and the high schools to do that. And then the student, when they graduate from high school, they should have several credits, college credits, ready to go. So when they start, if they choose to continue their education, their freshman year in college, they might actually have like anywhere from like 8 credits on up to 23 or so. In fact, Megan, one of my students, she is a PSEO student this year, and she's been taking PSEO classes since September, right? So do you want to talk about that at all, Megan?
I made the decision this fall. I actually started in late August, is when I enrolled at Riverland Community College in Owatonna, and I'm full-time post-secondary there. So by the time I go to the University of Wisconsin River Falls next year, I will have no more math classes to take, no more English classes to take, and I'm pretty happy about that. I chose to keep my science classes until I go to River Falls because I am majoring in animal science, so I want to make sure that my science classes are going to be geared towards my major rather than just having a general science class. But I will have all of my generals done and all of my electives done. So when I get there and major in animal science and I'm dealing with horses, all I'll have to do is my science classes based on animals and all of my horse riding classes.
A key component of the afternoon wrap-up was the report from each breakout session.
First, George Brophy, who has facilitated the Learning Environments breakout session, will summarize some of the main points from the breakout session.
Jan, thank you. I would start with one of my colleagues who was our recorder, Jeremy Mayberg. Jeremy, as the recorder, there would be one takeaway that I would ask you to provide to the balance of our group, then I'm going to call upon a couple of more of us just to simply share observation again about what we said having to do with our topic.
Okay. Well, first of all, the determination was we're talking about facilities and you can't define it. There are so many different ways in which this program, these curriculums, these ideas, this mission will be implemented in terms of physical presence. So what we said first was think about it like a reporter. What is it we're trying to do here? Who is it we're trying to serve? How is it we're going to serve them? What exactly is it we're going to be doing? And then you can get to where some of the things that came out were, number one, tapping sustainable relationships with industries in the area, because they're the end users who are going to benefit most from what's happening here. And that was a response to the growing labor shortage, the skill set disconnects that are going to occur, that we ought to be filling those voids, but we ought to be filling them with the people who are going to benefit most from them playing a major role in it. The other was an interesting term we heard of thinking about becoming the Silicon Valley of agri-technology, that our role would be, the point was made that there's so much value in what's already in this region that we may be small, but we're standing on the backs of giants. We should think of ourselves as giants. I think the term was think of ourselves as a jolly green giant, a Green Valley giant. Be proud and make no small plans, and because it's going to require that.
Riverland has a space utilization issue. It means that we've got more brick and mortar than what we have students. The biggest problem with that is what kind of space we need and where it's located. If we need science labs, clean labs, dirty labs, greenhouse, shops, electronics, we have many of those spaces available. Some is in Austin, some is in Albert Lea. But I got to go back to what George had said earlier. What physical facilities we need is going to be determined a lot by the curriculum that's going to be delivered, which is going to be determined a lot by what industry needs. And in order to find that out, we really need to have invested stakeholders, not only industry, but other educational systems such as U of M and privates also, to make that quote-unquote Silicon Valley of ag tech.
We need to wrap up our part of this. We'll make one more comment. Jimmy, through you.
articulates going international. United States is only 5% of the population of the world, and it produces 25% of goods and services of the world. So there is an opportunity for make this place a center of excellence for agriculture. And also, there are 3 syllabuses that we saw this morning, is perhaps to incorporate them into one and have like a 1-year course, so that somebody coming from Argentina or from South Africa or from Nigeria can actually benefit from that training. Because a lot of the ingredients are there, the facilities are there. It's just to ensure that we have the abilities actually to expand this internationally.
Thank you so much, George and Jeremy and Jimmy, right? Steve, you're going to do a little report out on partnerships and sustainability.
Our breakout was partnerships and sustainability. And I'm just going to cover some of the highlights, I think, that were general themes throughout the group. But one, in the current state, the challenge with funding from state and federal government and the need to look to other sources to help us move our programming forward. The increasing demand for technical ability people for the workforce, especially in the ag-related industry. The challenge, because there's not enough students in the pipeline right now at any level of education, and the need to entice more and more students to consider the ag industry and career and technical types of careers, especially. Partnerships with industry, with ag organizations, with K-12, with university, college and university collaborations, need to be at their top. And it's beyond just the funding or equipment or technology kinds of things that we can benefit from these partnerships, but it also includes the knowledge partners, the people that have the working individuals that have the knowledge, that are in the industry, that could share that knowledge and ability as part of that teaching process to partner with the colleges, with the K-12 schools, to come in so they don't have to hire some of that expertise. They can borrow that expertise from industry. Some of the other areas are advancing the quality of our and access to our customized training to improve worker career opportunities. Many, especially in the career and technical and the ag areas, they don't finish their education, get their credentials, they get to work. It wakes people up to realize that there's a lot more to the ag industry than being an on-the-ground farmer. So helping the industry tell that story. And then probably the last thing to share is connecting to our diverse student population and making sure we're engaged more with the diverse student, the immigrant student, the underserved students, to help them understand that they can achieve an education that will get them to a wonderful industry and a great career path. And they just have to know that's good for them and that we're partners in it.
Thank you, Steve. Jennifer Smith is the facilitator for our Ag Education breakout session. Jennifer is one of our farm business management instructors, and she was also on the Summit Planning Committee. So take it away, Jennifer, and after you, it's lunch. Okay. There you go.
All right, we had a great group. We had a ton of ideas for education and training, so hence I brought my notes, because we had like 3 pages worth, I believe it was. So we did a great job. Some of the main topics that came up, talking about education and training. Funding was one topic that we talked about. We talked about funding from all levels, scholarships and affordability for all students, so that all students would have a chance to attend. Getting the word out to get more scholarships available, working with other foundations, beyond the Hormel Foundation, so other foundations, and looking at funding sources there to promote the education, funding for the technology needs that we're gonna need. So that was also addressed. We talked about all the technology and what we wanna see in the future for technology in the ag program. We need labs, we need simulation labs. That was an industry need that we would need to have the students coming out having actual hands-on experiences, internships, availability, partnerships by working with the businesses to get our students out and educated hands-on in these agricultural careers. So it can't be all classroom. That was a general theme that we came up with. So we had the exposure and marketing of the program, marketing it to the high school students, getting to the teachers, the elementary level teachers, to change some mindsets. We need to change the mindset of our community that it's not all 4-year degrees, that you could come to Riverland, get a 2-year degree. If you want to transfer in to a 4-year degree after that, it will do that. So that was part of the marketing program that we would need to focus on.
Thank you all facilitators, Steve Bowron, George Brophy, Jennifer Smith, and all of you who came to the breakout sessions with your creative ideas and suggestions.
We cannot do this by ourselves as a college. So we rely on your support, your cooperation, and your feedback, whether positive or not so positive, so that we can always improve. It is my distinct pleasure to represent the entire faculty and administration and staff of Riverland Community College. And thank you for coming. We'll see you next year about the same time for another summit. Bye-bye.